reminder to everybody, obviously I can see you now. Once you start practicing, sometimes it's quite difficult just because of the angles people have got their cameras. So you've heard me say it before, but lockdown is a really, really good opportunity to really own your practice and listen to your body. If something that I'm cueing you to do doesn't feel right, then don't do it. You can ask me, I'm going to put everyone on mute. In fact, let's do that now. But unmute yourself and ask me. Or if you know how to modify it, if you're carrying an injury, then work with that. It's going to be a straightforward flow today. It's early in the morning, so if you're like me, you probably just need to wake up. We'll keep going, but we'll have rest pauses. We'll start with some breath work. And I was doing my meditation this morning just before teaching, and it was a led meditation on inset timer, and it had an affirmation in, which part of the affirmation was, the greatest gift that you can give anyone is to listen. And I thought, that's rather lovely. And anyone includes ourselves. So along this line of owning your practice, use it as an opportunity to really listen to what you're telling yourself. And that can be both a positive and negative. So listen to your body. If your body is saying, yeah, I think I've got a bit more, I want you to take me to my edge, then listen to that message. If your body's saying, no, this isn't working for me, then listen to that message. But also, often in our heads, we tell ourselves stories that just aren't true. And we need to listen to those and then make just discerning judgments about whether or not we want to believe them. And that really kind of struck home to me, because I was clearing out a cupboard yesterday and I found a load of old photos. Anyone who follows me personally on social media will have seen them. And there was one taken on my honeymoon. And I remember distinctly on my honeymoon feeling really large and like an elephant, like a hippo, just overweight. And I looked at this photo and I was so skinny. And I just thought, my God, and I remember, spending hours thinking about being, too large and what could I do about it? And just such a waste of energy. So I'd listened to myself, but not taken that step to go, actually, you're talking bullshit. It's not true. So use your practice, use your time on your mat to listen, and with discernment, say, is this something that I need to listen to? Or is this something that is not true? Mostly the signals from our body are things that we should be listening to. A lot of the stuff that we hear from our head is maybe not something we should be listening to. So we're going to practice that. Let's start in child's pose, if child's pose is restful for you. If you're feeling a little bit kind of stiff and the ankles are not super mobile this morning, then take another position. Just going to use this for a little bit of grounding and a little bit of connection, and then we'll come into some movement. So I'm going to stay upright, because if I talk in child's pose, you might not be able to hear so well, but come into child's pose and either version of child's pose. So that could be legs wide, arms in front of you, or arms down by your side, belly resting on your thighs. But just make sure that you feel you can breathe freely and easily. And take a moment to listen to your body. What is it feeling right now? That connection into the ground. Maybe there's the sensation of kind of the pressing of the ground into the body. Maybe in child's pose, there's that sensation of the sit bones sinking down towards the heels. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily touching. Maybe there's a sense of the skin stretching on the back, and if your arms are out in front of you, along the tops of the arms, into the shoulders. And if your arms are down beside, if you're in a more traditional child's pose, maybe there's a sense of the fronts of the shoulders resting down onto the earth. And then we'll start to turn the awareness more inwards to the sensation as you breathe. And that might start with an awareness at the tips of the nostrils. But then see if you can track that breath as it travels through the throat, and then get a sense of the lungs moving in and moving out. And then also there might be a sense of the belly moving. You can feel this quite well in child's pose, maybe feeling it into the tops of the thighs. But if your breath isn't coming all the way down to the abdomen's moving in and out today, then don't worry, just stay with where the breath is naturally. Don't force anything. And then with that awareness of the breath, can you just notice if tension has crept into your body, and can you soften? So quite often, maybe start on the inside of the shoulder blades, either side of the spine, and just soften there. Often using an exhale to help guide that softening can be helpful. And then because we're all together, let's breathe as one. We won't hear each other, but we can know. We can maybe feel and sense in a different way. So with me, breathe in through the nose. And then open the mouth and audibly sigh the breath away. A couple more like that. And that sigh out can be as loud as you want it to be, depending on how you're feeling. One more. Just let it go. And then close the mouth and come into a rhythm of breath that you can sustain as we start to move through our practice. And then just a word, one of the benefits of kind of practicing in this way is, well, obviously the people in your house if they're up, but you can make any noises you want to. So if at any point, just depending on how you're doing, you want to roar your breath out in lion's breath, or take one of those long kind of sighs. If you need to release stuff, then do. Listen to yourself and be guided by what you need. And then from wherever you are, come up into tabletop. And straight away, start to move. That may look like a classic cat and cow. It may look like something very different. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. This is moving so that you can start to listen to the feedback from your body. It may be a sore shoulder. It may be creaky hips. It may be noticing, if you are moving around, how the sensations change under the palms. But moving in a way that is coordinated with your breath, is nice and fluid. Beautiful. And then coming back to stillness. On an inhale, extend your right leg out behind you. Notice if you've started to externally rotate. So if your right hip has started to roll up, can you roll it down so the leg stays more or less parallel? Take another inhale here, and then on an exhale, round into the upper back, draw the knee forward. Keeping the top of the foot raised, don't let it drop down. Inhale, take it back again. So we're coming into our tiger curls, and exhale with your, draw it in. Do 3 more of those with your breath. And all the time listening to the sensations in your body. Being aware of the conversation that your mind might be having. And with discernment, decide what you want to listen to. When you've done your 5 tiger curls on the right hand side, drop the right knee down, and we'll take it on the left. So you're going to inhale your left leg out behind you, but in your own time. Take another inhale, make sure that the hip is square, and then exhale, knee to nose, round. Good. Inhale, lengthen again. Draw it in. 3 more in your own time. When you've done your 3, we'll come back to tabletop. And then this time, just going to bring kind of full range of motion into the hips. Going to take your right leg back behind you. Going to kick the heel up so you're in that kind of donkey kick stovepipe. From there, trying to keep the leg relatively stable, you're going to draw the knee out to the side, keeping the shin parallel. Slowly draw the knee towards that left tricep. Drop the whole shin down towards the floor. So you've done a rotation, but nice and slowly. Take your leg back behind you into the donkey kick, as far as possible, keeping the pelvis neutral. Leg out to the side, draw it forward, drop the shin down. Do 3 of those as slowly as you can. Watch you. Good. Notice if you are counterbalancing, can you stay centered as far as possible? And if this feels really hard, good. And you may notice some parts of the movement feel kind of sticky. Mine do this morning. When you've done your 3 on this side, yeah, you're still going. Give you a bit more time. Nice to see people moving slowly. So when you've done your 3 on this side, we're going to go on the opposite side. So take your left leg out behind you, find that neutral pelvis, and then bend the knee, take the donkey kick, slowly out to the side, noticing how different left to right is. Maybe it doesn't come as far forward. And when you're coming from your donkey kick, you're externally rotating, trying to keep the knee back, then slowly bring it forward and keeping the shin as parallel as possible. Don't let the ankle dip down, which is going to want to. You're going to do 3 on the left side to balance out. Good, clothes are coming off, that's what we like to see. That sounds all sorts of wrong. Good, so from here, we're going to maybe walk the hands a little bit forward, curl the toes under and lift up to down dog. And just as we did in tabletop, maybe pedal the feet, maybe bend the knees, drop from side to side. Keep moving. You have to excuse me laughing to myself. Sometimes it feels like I'm talking into the void or talking to myself, teaching this way, or guiding this way, so bear with me. From here, when you feel like you've kind of moved around enough in your down dog, come right up, bring the feet together and then come right up on the balls of the feet. And then little bends in the knees, little tiny steps forward into your forward fold. Have the feet in a position that is comfortable, so hip width apart, maybe a little wider. Dangle. Make sure you're not locking into the back of the knees because the hamstrings won't be warm yet. Crown of the head reaches down. And again here, just bringing some movement in. Bending one knee and then the other, maybe a gentle move from side to side through the upper body, but be gentle with yourself. Don't want to wrench into the lower back or the SI joints. And then come to stillness again, root into the feet. Feel as if you're hugging muscles into bone. Engage your glutes and slowly roll all the way up to stand. So, going to come into some dynamic sun salutations. I'm going to lead you through, we'll do one round slowly. Oh, the cat's come to join us. Then I will cue you through a round and then leave you to keep moving. We're going to do sun salutations with some warriors. So, standing at the top of your mat. Going to inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, so you could either roll down or just hinge at the hips, whatever works better. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. Maybe for this first round, step back to your high plank. Decide if you want to stay up in a full plank or drop the knees. Listen to your body. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, hands under shoulders. Draw the chest forward, squeeze the legs, activate into your cobra. If that feels too much on the lower back, start off with Sphinx. It's a little bit softer. And then as you exhale, press back into tabletop, curl the toes under, up into down dog. From here, I'm going to lift the right leg up to the ceiling. Going to curl it forward on an exhale, land in between the hands. Back foot turns in very slightly. Inhale up into warrior one. If this back foot placement doesn't work in the kind of traditional warrior one, take it into a lunge. Take another inhale. Exhale, open to warrior two. Take an inhale here. Pivot on the ball of the back foot, hands down. Back to plank. Flow through. Exhale, roll back to down dog. On your inhale, you're going to lift your left leg up. Exhale, roll it forward, land, back foot turns in. Inhale, up into warrior one. Exhale, open into warrior two. Inhale in your warrior two. Exhale, hands down. Back to your plank, lower. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, back into down dog. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, walk the feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, root into the floor. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands into heart center. So I'll guide you through one more where we move one breath, one movement. Then I'm going to let you have a go on your own. To say, if you don't like the traditional vinyasa transition of high plank to low plank into your back bend, then you can roll from your high plank back into your down dog. You can hinge your hips back. Just kind of work with what works for you. We're all different. So if you're coming with me, inhale, reach the arms up. Breathe into the armpits, really lift up here. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, back to high plank. Your choice, inhale, exhale, lower. Inhale into your back bend and exhale back down to down dog. Inhale, right leg raises. Exhale, bring the foot forward in between the hands, turn the back foot in. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, open warrior two. Inhale, what am I doing? Inhale here, sorry. And then exhale, hands down, step back to high plank, lower down, inhale, and exhale back into down dog. Confusing myself now. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, bring it forward. Back foot turns in. Inhale, rise up. Warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale here. Exhale, hands down. Plank. Low plank, cobra, up dog or sphinx. And back to down dog. Inhale in your down dog. Exhale, walk your feet forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forwards. And then inhale, rise. And exhale, hands into your heart center. One more time on your own. Don't worry if you get confused, but inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forwards all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, and then I'm going to let you flow on your own. Come on, cat, off you go. And we'll meet back at the end, standing in Tadasana. And remember, our theme is listening. Listening to yourself. The greatest gift we can give anybody. And when you're back in your Tadasana at the end, you could stand with your arms down by your sides or have one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Maybe close the eyes, or if you've got a nice view, gaze steadily at the view. And just let the breath settle. Beautiful. We're all there. From here, going to raise the arms. And as you raise the arms up overhead, just really feel like you're kind of breathing into the armpits. Shoulder blades are going to lift here, and then we're going to exhale and sit down in chair pose. So you could be in a really small chair, you could be in a very deep chair. Make sure that the weight, make sure that you can see all 10 toes. You might need to scoot your bottom back a little bit more. Make sure the knees are staying parallel and straight forward, they're not knocking in, but there's a gentle engagement through the inner thighs. You might want to come low, you might want to come high. Breathe here, and just notice if all of your weight's hanging back into your heels. Can you press the toes down? I'm going to take this into a twist. So a couple of options here. If your lower back is sore, if you have any SI joint issues, take your right hand onto the back of your pelvis. And as you exhale, your left hand's going to come onto the outside of the right thigh. And then you're going to turn. If you're okay with the prayer twist, exhale, hands into heart center. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. And then your right arm is going to come over onto the outside of the left thigh. Hands together, look up. Keep shooting your kind of base of the sacrum back behind you. Breathe here. And can you think on the inhale, still even in the twist, about lengthening? Think about lengthening through the front body so that you're not kind of collapsing down. One more breath. And then exhale, unwind, come back to center. Stay in your prayer if you can. If you need to release, come into the forward fold. But otherwise, stay with the quads, doing lots of work. Deep breath in, and then we'll twist the other way, either option. So either is staying in your prayer twist, or left hand onto the outside of the hip, right hand across to the left thigh. You're still twisting in that variation. It's just a little softer, I find, on the SI joint. Stay breathing. And find your position of your gaze that is comfortable for your neck. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then as you exhale, unwind, come back to center and take a forward fold. So just release everything down. And from here, if the feet aren't already, just take them hip width apart. Grab hold of your big toe with your middle and index finger. So wrap the fingers around. Bend the knees deeply as you inhale. So maybe chest and thighs come together. And then as you exhale, sit bones lift up to the ceiling, crown of the head reaches down, elbows point back behind you. And then try and kind of rock the weight forward into the balls of the feet, but then pull on the big toes so that you don't topple forward. And just feel that big stretch into the backs of the legs. And then also, can you feel the breath in the backs of the ribs here? So really breathing into the back of the lungs. 2 more breaths. Good. And then release. Very slowly, we're going to inhale, bottom comes down, arms come up. We're back in chair pose. And then a couple of options. I'm not teaching arm balances because it's not, for me, it's not kind of really possible to teach things like that via Zoom. But if you have crow in your practice and you want to give it a go, if you feel like flying, in your chair pose, sink down, bring your arms down onto the floor so that your knees are into your upper armpits, lean forward and take a little bit of flying time. So it could be 1 foot comes up. Otherwise, stay in chair pose. Just have a little fly if it's in your practice. Let's see if anyone's doing that. Having a go. And then those in chair pose, just so that your quads don't completely combust, come into a forward fold. Those who are having a play at crow, or who have it in their practice already, when you come down, come up, gently land, bring the feet parallel, lift the sit bones so you're in a forward fold as well. And then this time we'll take gorilla pose in the forward fold. So you're going to lift the balls of the feet up, slide your hands underneath so that palms are resting on the soles of the feet. Big toes are kind of massaging into the wrist crease. It's quite nice after crow. Bend the knees. This time the elbows come out to the side. Let the head hang heavy. Deep breath in. And then exhale. Lift the sit bones. Straighten the legs, but that doesn't mean that they are completely straight. Work with where your hamstrings are. And we never want to lock the knees. Let the crown of the head reach for the floor so you're not holding tension in the neck. So I'm going to say that again. Let the crown of the head reach for the floor, because I can see some of you are holding your head up. Okay, from here, slide the hands out from under the feet. Press through the soles of the feet and very slowly engaging the muscles of the legs so that you don't just lift up and hinge through that lower back. Come back to Tadasana. Beautiful. From here, inhale, both arms up overhead. You're going to take your right arm and wrap it underneath the left, eagle arms. If eagle arms doesn't work, and a couple of options with the hands, palms can meet or backs of the hands can meet. If that doesn't work for you, particularly if you've got an injured shoulder, which I know Colette you have, then just have the arms with the right arm on top, pressing into the top of the left elbow and vice versa. And then from here, we're going to take it into eagle legs as well. So we're going to press through the left foot, engage the left leg, squeeze the left glute, right leg lifts up, over, maybe it wraps around once, maybe it wraps around twice. So squeeze everything into the midline and find something to gaze at that holds you steady. How low you sit in your eagle, entirely up to you. One more inhale, lift the fingertips. And then as you exhale, unwrap that right leg. As slowly as you can, bring it back behind you and start to lean forward into a warrior 3 with eagle arms. So you're aiming for a straight line. That doesn't mean that you're in a T shape. You could be more diagonal if that works better. And watch out for that right leg externally rotating. Draw the inner thigh down. Fingertips reach forward if you're in the eagle, or if you're in the elbow version or forearm version, forearms reach forward for 3, for 2, for 1. Little bend into the left leg, softly land the right leg, rise up, crescent lunge with eagle arms. And then from here, as you exhale, unwrap the arms and then slowly lift them up. And then open out to warrior 2. Going to reverse, so lean forward as you inhale, flip your palm, reverse. One more breath here. And then coming forward into side angle lunge. Imagine that this side of the body is leaning over a barrel, so you're not just crunching down. Left forearm rests on the thigh. You don't dump down, so still engaging. And then we're going to take some arm circles with that right hand. Nice and slowly. You can follow with your gaze or just gaze down to the floor. That's better for your neck. We're going to do 3 in one direction and then 3 in the opposite direction. And then that right hand lifts up. If you're feeling strong this morning, or want to feel, we're all strong, so if you want to feel in your strength, keep that right hand up and then let that left arm just come down on the inside of that left thigh. Don't come all the way down, just hold it there. Breathe steadily. For 3, for 2, for 1, and then let that right hand guide you back up into your warrior 2. Take one more breath here. Pivot on the ball of the back foot. Hands frame that left foot. Step back to high plank. Hold your high plank. I'm going to come into side plank. I'm going to take the left hand forward. And then options here. If you don't want to take full side plank, drop down onto the left knee, turn and lift up into a supported side plank. If you're coming into full side plank, we're going to roll onto the outside pinky toe edge of that left foot. Right foot could stack on top, could come in front and lift up. And then just notice if the hips have dropped down. Can you imagine that you're lying over a barrel? Lift up tall, lift up high. For 3. Breathe into the armpit on the left arm so you're not collapsing down. For 2. For 1. Inhale, reach up through fingertips, and then exhale, bring yourself back to your high plank. Take a vinyasa back to down dog. However, whatever your vinyasa looks like. So vinyasa just means moving with breath. Good. And then from here, rise right up onto the balls of the feet, and then hop, skip, walk, jump, whatever you want to do to get to the front of your mat. And then press into the floor, engage the leg muscles, slowly rise all the way back up to standing Tadasana. Good. Let's take that on the other side. So we're going to inhale, reach the arms up overhead, lifting up through the armpits. As you exhale, left arm wraps under right. Press down into the right leg, engage. Inhale, left leg lifts up and crosses over once, maybe twice. Squeeze in, find your drishti point to keep you steady and stable. And then keeping the arms in the wrap, you're going to very slowly on an exhale, unwind that left leg. Left leg comes back behind you, arms come forward, finding that warrior 3. And again, watch that left hip because it might want to open up. Drop it down so that the hip points are pointing down to the floor on both sides. Good. From here, we're going to, as slowly as you can, a little bend into that right leg, drop down onto the ball of the left foot, and then rise up into your crescent lunge with your eagle arms. Back leg could be bent, could be straight, and just as far as possible, keep the knee tracking for, well, you want to keep the right knee tracking forward and make sure that it's not kind of overshooting the ankle. From here, as you exhale, unwind the arms and inhale, reach them up tall. Breathe into the armpits. One more breath, and then exhale, open, warrior two. Good. Lean forward, flip your palm, reverse. One more breath here. Feel that stretch. And even on the left side, you're not crunching down, you're lifting. And then exhale, right hand comes onto the right thigh, not dumping down. So use your core, left hand lifts up. And then you're going to take those arm circles. Do 3 in one direction. And then reverse it, take it in the opposite direction. Very off-putting. I've got a cat underneath my Mac giving me the evil eye. It's a shame you guys can't see her. It's hilarious. And then from here, when you've done your 3 rotations in both directions, left hand stays up. If you want a little bit more core engagement, I shouldn't say core engagement because the core's engaged anyway, but just a little bit more holding and strength work. Right hand comes down, but not to the floor. Keep opening. For 3, for 2, for 1, and then use that left hand to draw you back on an inhale into your warrior two. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, swivel on the ball of the back foot, hands frame the right foot. We're going to step back into our high plank, and then we're going to take it into the side plank. So again, you choose, right hand comes forward, either drop the knee and shin down and swivel, or roll onto the outside pinky toe edge of that right foot, stack, or bring the left foot in front. And then watch for collapsing down into that right shoulder. Really breathe into the armpit, lift up, hips lift, left arm, fingertips reach for the sky. Breathe here. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then gently on an exhale, release down, make your way back to down dog. Good. And then in your down dog, come down onto your knees and take child's pose. Just give yourself a little bit of stillness, a little bit of rest. And I say child's pose, but if child's pose, as I said at the beginning, isn't your rest pose, then move into a position that is. And just as we did at the beginning, let's take 3 shared breaths here. So we're breathing together, even though we may not be able to, well, we can't hear each other. So breath in through the nose, and then release out through the mouth, make any noise you need. 2 more, breathe in, and then let it go. 1 more, breathe in, and then let it go. Close the mouth. Come back to your natural rhythm of breathing. And then from here, bring yourself back up to down dog. And from your down dog, you're going to walk your feet forward. And when you get to the front of your mat, slowly, slowly, slowly stand all the way up. So a couple more balance postures. Rooting both feet down into the floor. Find your Tadasana. And then just while you're, even as you're standing, just take a moment to make sure that you are releasing tension in the body. So very often we get really tense when we're trying to stand up straight, solar plexus, navel. Just soften everything down so that we're strong, but we're supple. Going to take the weight and the balance into the left side of the body. Going to inhale the right knee up. If you like working with a straight leg here, then by all means, take a straight leg. You can grab hold of the big toe, or we're going to stay with the knee. I'll stay with the knee on this side. Going to take an inhale here. Find your gaze point so that you're really steady. And then on an exhale, you're going to draw that right knee out to the side, or if you've got a straight leg, draw the straight leg out to the side. Keep lifting up through the crown of the head. And you're not forcing that right leg out. It'll find a natural stopping place. Don't force it beyond that. Just stay steady. And then if you want to take the left hand out to help you balance. 3. Keep working the left leg. Keep squeezing the left glute. For 2. For 1. Lovely. Draw that right knee back in. And slowly let it come back. Find your Tadasana again. We'll take it on the other side. So really feel that stability in the right side so that the left leg can lift up. You're either going to stay with the knee, or if you want to straighten the leg, lift the leg up. Find your steady gaze. Inhale, lift up through the crown, and then exhale. Take the leg or the bent knee out to the side. Good. Right hand might want to come out to counterbalance. For 3, for 2, for 1, leg back to center, and then release down. Second balance, we're going to take tree pose. You guys all look really steady, so when you're ready, bring up your right foot and come into your tree. So it could be anywhere on the inside of that right leg. If you want to give it a helping hand to bring it up to the inner thigh. But then just notice, kind of don't drop down here. So there's a feeling of lifting up, hands together in heart center. Pulling my leggings down. And then we're going to inhale, reach the arms up overhead. So lifting up through the armpits. Cutting my head off. Good. Now squeeze the palms together if they meet. If the shoulders are tight, then keep the arms away from each other or separate the arms. And then if you're having a steady day, you want to challenge your balance, turn your gaze upwards. And you could either stay there, or if you want to add even more spice, try closing your eyes. And if that means you fall out, don't worry. Just start again. For 3, for 2, for 1. Gently come back, set the foot down. And then just notice, listening to yourself, if you fell out, what's your mind saying to you? And is that true? Do you need to listen to it? Probably not. Well, I'm assuming that your mind says similar things to mine when I fall out. So let's just take it on the other side. So weight into the right side, lift the left leg up, you give it a helping hand. And then also just remember, if it is a wobbly day, if you've got a wall nearby, support yourself. Hands together in heart center. Use an inhale to lift the arms up. So lift up through the armpits. Hands can stay squeezed together. If that's too much for your shoulders, separate them. Nice steady gaze. And then if you want to, lift the head. And then that final bit of spice. If you want to close your eyes, give that a go. For 3, for 2, for 1. Gently, hands back into prayer. Leg forward and set yourself down. Brilliant, well done everybody. Going to make our way back into a down dog. So back at the front of the mat. And make sure you're not locking out your knees. So there's a little bit of softness there, softness in the hip creases. Breathe up into the armpits as you raise the arms. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, back to plank, and then make your way back to down dog. So that we've done a lot of vinyasas, so that might just be a roll back into down dog. If you're a vinyasa junkie, then enjoy the flow. And then when you're ready, you're going to lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Good. This time we are going to elevate the right hip, drop your right heel towards your left butt cheek, open the hip. As you do that, keep pressing into the right hand though. We're not flipping. Might do that next week actually, we haven't done that for ages. Take another big breath in here. And then as you exhale, that right knee is going to come forward behind the right wrist, right ankle behind the left hand. Stay up on the ball of the left foot and then slide that left foot back behind you as far as you can before you come onto the top of the foot. And then if your right shin is quite parallel to the front of the mat, really flex the foot. If your heel is close into the groin, don't worry so much. Hands down, and then walk your hands in closer to the body and lift up through the front body. If you feel like that right glute is, or the right butt cheek is hanging around in space, if you've got a cushion or a jumper or something to prop you up, then do that. And then keep consciously drawing the right hip crease back behind you. Do you feel that big, big stretch? And then gently walk yourself down, if that's more comfortable for you, maybe onto forearms. Take a couple of breaths here. Watch that left leg. So my ankle really loves to sickle out. So keep the top of the foot pressing down and keep pressing out through that left big toe as well. Keep that leg active. And then if you want to come all the way down, rest the forehead down, let the arms come out in front of you, if that's comfortable. But I'd like you to really focus on your shoulders here. So what can often happen is we come down onto our forearms or we lengthen the arms in front of us, but we're holding tension in those shoulders. And there's a kind of reciprocal relationship between shoulders and hips. So can you consciously soften that space in between the shoulder blades at the tops of the arms? Feel heavy and releasing down. And then the same kind of sensation into the hips, into that big stretch of the right glute. This I find a really good place, that breath with a kind of open mouth exhale, making noise. I won't subject you to my noises, but take 2 or 3 breaths here. Really releasing. And then on your next inhale, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. So the torso lifts. You're going to curl your left foot under and then lift that back leg, lift the left knee. Press down to your hands and on an inhale, lift up, raise that right leg back into 3-legged dog. You might want to just circle the knee up in the air one way and the other. You may want to bring it straight down. And then we'll take that on the other side. So when you're ready, feet together at the back of the mat, lift the left leg, nice and slowly, and then start to raise the right hip, drop the left hip, drop the left heel towards the right buttock, and then keep pressing down equally through both hands. Another nice long breath here. And then as you exhale, that left knee comes forward behind the left wrist, left ankle behind right hand. And then before we start the descent down to the ground, wiggle your right leg back behind you. Before you come down onto the knee and the top of the foot, left hip crease draws back. And then start. And if it's more comfortable for you to stay up high, stay up high. But if you prefer to come down, start coming onto forearms. Keep drawing the left hip crease back, which means the right hip, front of the right hip will move forward. Breathe slowly and steadily. And then maybe coming all the way down if that's the most comfortable place for you to release into your pigeon. Maisie, that's really not helpful. Slow, steady cadence of breath here. Three more breaths. And then from here at the end of your 3 breaths, use an inhale to bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, lift up onto the ball of the right leg, lift the right knee, and then take the left leg up to the ceiling, any circles that you want to take, balancing in both directions, and then bringing the left leg down. Feet together at the back of the mat. Inhale your right leg up, and on your exhale, going to curl that right leg forward and land the right foot on the outside of the right hand. May not get all the way, just help it. Take another inhale, long through the back, and as you exhale, going to bring the left foot on the outside of the left hand. So you're probably in this kind of weird high frog squat. This may be where you want to stay. If you like coming into Malasana squat, you're going to come all the way down. As you do that, just watch out for collapsing into the arches, lift up, and bring the hands down onto the floor to support you, but don't use it as a way of kind of wrenching the inner thighs open. If you're in your frog squat, when you're ready, you're going to come down onto your bottom, however you want to get there. If you're in Malasana, lift up through the chest one more time, and then bring your hands back behind you, slowly sink down on your bottom. Bring both feet out in front of you, hands behind you, going to take a reverse tabletop. So for some of you, it may be better to have the fingers pointing in a different direction. For me at the moment, having them pointing forward is best. Going to take an inhale. As you exhale, really press down through the feet, and then use an inhale to lift you up. And we're aiming for a tabletop here rather than a hammock. So lift up, lift, lift, lift. Not locking into the elbows. Gaze is straightforward. Some of you may like the position where you drop your head back and get a stretch through the throat. I don't, but we're all different. So if you like that option, then just don't be mindful about how you take the head back. Keep lifting, keep lifting. For 3, for 2, for 1, and then slowly bend the elbows, let your bottom descend. And then from here, we're going to come down onto our backs. So slowly, 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 curl the back down, bring the back of the head down, let the arms come down by your side. Draw the heels in so that you can touch them with your middle finger. And we'll just take a bridge here to stretch out in the opposite direction. So again, same pattern of breath. As you exhale, press down through the feet. And then as you inhale, lift, starting at the sacrum, taking the hips up towards the ceiling. So you're pressing into your feet, pressing into the shoulders. You can almost walk your shoulders in towards each other, and maybe the hands can clasp underneath so that you can press down through the pinky toe edge of the hands. And then you're lifting the pelvis up, feeling like the knees are moving away from you. Little engagement of the inner thighs. And there's a sense of the chest moving towards the chin, but the neck is still long, so you're nice and free in the neck. Gaze up. Feeling that energetic lift, even in a gentle back bend like this. Three more breaths here, smooth and steady. And then while we're still up, just want you to, if you've got your hands clasped underneath you, release them. And then for everyone, you're going to bring your hands so that they are underneath your buttocks, either side by side, or I really like to put the one hand down and then the other one on top, just making a little cushion here. And then on an exhale, descend the spine down so that you've now got your kind of sacral area resting on the backs of your hands. Then we're going to draw one knee into the chest and the other knee into the chest. Take an inhale, exhale, and then inhale, lift the legs, Vita Parita Karani. I should say, if anybody has shoulder stand in their practice and would rather take a shoulder stand here to get a little bit of inversion time, then please do that. But again, own your practice, not teaching shoulder stand, so please be mindful. And then with the legs in the air, you can spread the feet, bring some movement and rotation in the ankles if that feels nice. And every exhale, can you feel the breath, allowing the body to soften? Two more breaths here. And then gently kind of move the pelvis from side to side so you can bring the hips down flat. Bend both knees into the chest. Take the arms wide, or if you haven't got enough space, bring them into goalposts. Long inhale, and then exhale, drop the knees gently over to the left. We want the right shoulder to stay down. So if that means the feet come down, but the knees stay raised, that's fine. Make any modifications if you need to for your shoulders. Take 2 steady breaths here. And then on your inhale, knees up to center again. And use an exhale to gently take them down to the opposite side. This time left shoulder stays down. If that's not comfortable on your left shoulder, bring the arm down straight into this gentle twist. So 3 smooth breaths here. When you've taken your 3rd breath, draw the knees up to center, and we're going to set up for rest for Shavasana. So if you want to wrap up, Shavasana rest doesn't have to mean lying in a traditional Shavasana on your back. If you would rather take a different position. Also, if you want to turn your camera off, if that makes you feel more comfortable. Equally, if I'm going to keep us in Shavasana for about 3-4 minutes. If you want to turn your camera off and stay or longer, or keep the camera on, please do. This is your practice. This is your rest time. Works for me if the cameras are off just as well. Still talking into the void. So yeah, settle yourself down. And then once you're lying in your rest position, that same practice of breath in, maybe a little hold this time, and then exhale, open the mouth, make the noise you need to. And notice as you sigh or vocalize how the body softens. Do that 3 times in your own time. And then at the end of that, close your mouth and then let the breath get progressively softer and softer and softer through the nose. So it becomes super gentle, super imperceptible. It's just a way of really allowing the body to settle into rest. And then if you want to stay in your Shavasana, by all means do. But if you need to get on with your Saturday morning, then gently start to bring movement into hands or fingers. Quite nice to touch each finger and turn on the thumb. Just feel that skin on skin contact. And then start to wiggle your toes as well. Maybe circling the wrists. And then extending into some stretches overhead or out to the side, kind of depending on how much space you've got. You might want to draw the knees into the chest and just roll around a little bit to release the lower back. Or stay with your stretches. And then roll over onto your side. When you're ready, take a breath or two there. And then really support yourself a lot with your hands when you bring yourself back up to that seated position. Take your time. And then when you come back up, if you've got a lovely view, then gaze out at the view or gaze to the floor. Keep the eyes closed. And just rest the hands somewhere that's comfortable. And once you're in your upright position, I just want you to notice, has tension kind of crept into the legs, the groin area? Often does when we come into a seated cross-legged position. Can you soften? Can you feel everything kind of dropping down gently into the pelvic area? Shoulders are relaxed, back of the head is long. Just take a few moments here with your breath. Our focus has been listening to ourselves and then working with discernment to identify what's true and what's not true. What we practice on our mat, we can take off our mat. And then just take a moment to acknowledge the fact that you've made it onto your mat this morning. You've practiced, you've looked after yourself, and you've shared it with other people, socially distant, but not necessarily emotionally distant. From here, draw your hands together at heart center. Press your thumbs into your sternum, bow your head. Let's take 3 shared breaths together to close. Breath in. Sigh it out. 2 more, breath in. And release. 1 more time. Close your mouth. Thank you so much for sharing your Saturday with me, or Saturday morning with me. Have a lovely day. Namaste.